Go ahead and call this meeting to order, July 15th, 2025. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, good morning, everyone. We do have a quorum present this morning with 4 out of 5 commissioners in attendance. Commissioners, if you've had a chance to review the agenda and you have no changes this morning, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Excuse me. First up under tab A this morning, we've got 2 public hearings for a couple of budget amendments. First being Resolution 2507 CL04, a budget amendment to increase the facilities maintenance budget for the RTU project from the Strategic Development Reserve Fund. Joining us this morning is Accounting Specialist Rebecca Romero. Morning.
Good morning. Yes, we are requesting a budget amendment in the amount of $2,246,651 for the ongoing RTU project to be taken out of the current reserves. This amendment ensures the county will move forward with replacing aging equipment and maintaining a safe, efficient operations at the detention facility.
Questions or comments, commissioners? If not, we do need to open this up for public hearing. At this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to this budget amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jones.
move to approve resolution 25-07-CL-04 for the RTU project in the amount of $2,246,651.
Do you have a motion to approve resolution 2507 CL04 by Commissioner Jones? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? I wasn't going to say anything about these 2 amendments, but it seems like something needs to be said. And when it was brought to my attention last week, I really didn't have anything good to say at all about them. But at the end of the day, I think it's extremely unfair to put the Board of County Commissioners in this situation. We rely on staff to collaborate and communicate and prepare us with accurate and up-to-date information so we can be best informed on making these difficult decisions when it comes to balancing the budget and officially adopting the next fiscal year's treasury across the entire county. It affects multiple agencies, departments, and elected offices. I've argued from day one that it's undoubtedly the most difficult and important task that we're faced with as commissioners, and it brings a great deal of frustration, embarrassment, and disappointment when there's a clear lack of communication and ownership leading up to the needs for these amendments. These are not unanticipated expenses. These are expenses that should have been encumbered across 2 different fiscal years. At the end of the day, we're the ones taking the hit once again. And while I'm far from impressed about that, I believe the conversation needs to happen in a different setting, which we intend to do at our next meeting in August, to include all parties and a full commission at that time. It's extremely unfortunate. We're not talking a few $1,000s. We're talking millions of dollars. And I'll just simply end it with Sweetwater County is better than this. And I would hope that the staff and the various departments that we rely heavily on take a hard look at the importance of accountability. We're a team. And quite frankly, I'm tired of being the punching bag for actions that are outside of our role as commissioners. So I'll leave it at that and ask if anyone else would like to add anything. Commissioner Slaughter.
Mr. Chairman, just in addition, I would agree with your comments. I would like to also add, I believe that we had specific conversations with respect to how this would be handled within the budget or within the capital committee. And I thought that this was something that would have been taken care of routinely in the budget. It obviously was not. And as you state, because of that, it looks as if something is out of the order when it should not look that way. I mean, this is something we knew that these projects were ongoing. There should have been an appropriation made for them in this year's budget, and it was not done. So very disappointed.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Chairman, without beating a dead horse, I'll just agree. I mean, this is just something that shouldn't be taking place. So we will correct it moving forward.
Any other comments? Now, we do have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor of approving resolution 2507 CL04 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Move along to item number 2. We've got resolution 2507 CL05, a budget amendment to increase the facilities maintenance budget for the night oil project from also from the Strategic Development Reserve Fund. We'll hand it back to Rebecca.
Yes, this budget amendment is in the amount of $1,476,652 for the ongoing night oil building project. This funding will also come from the reserves, and this amendment will allow the continued progress on the progress without delay.
Questions or comments on the resolution, commissioners? Not, we need to open this up for public hearing as well. If there's anyone online or in the audience who would like to speak to this amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve resolution 25-07-CL-05.
Do you have a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Good.
Just going to say in the amount of $1,476,652.20.
Very good. We do have a motion to approve resolution 2507 CL05 by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Toman.
I would make that second.
Got a second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion on the resolution?
Yes, I would just say that's why we do have reserves. It's unfortunate it happened this way, but we are lucky as a county that we have had the foresight to have reserves so we can deal with emergencies like this.
We do have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, there is one other item which ties into this, which I would like to bring up. Rebecca, you may want to stay for this. In the document which we approve, the resolution to provide income necessary to finance our budget, which was done on the 26th of June, I think that there is another error that we need to correct. If you look at our reserves as they are reported, we are showing that our total reserves would be $46,194,544. They are made up of our general reserve, our capital reserve. There is an item which is listed for the hospital lab project in the amount of $2,744,951. I believe the intent in our budget hearings was to have that hospital lab project funded through our general reserves. And therefore, rather than having an addition of $2.74 million to our reserves, we should be looking at actually a decrease of $2.744 million. With that, Mr. Chairman, I believe that our reserves should be reflected as $40,704,642, which was the number which we had come up with at our last budget hearing when you appropriated those funds and decreased that cash reserve by the hospital lab amount, which we are going to fund.
Are you following on that, Rebecca?
Yes. So from my understanding, we wanted to not budget the 2.7 for the lab so that we could use it where necessary and then give it to them when they needed it, correct? Because it's still set aside for the hospital.
Right, as it should be, but I think prior we were taking it out of the operating budget.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna take it out of reserves, but we had, I think it was around 44 million in reserves.
Yeah, and I just wanted to
Should've-
keep track of the 2.7 for the hospital is what I was doing.
Yeah, but I think what Commissioner Slaughter's getting at is it increased our reserve where it should have decreased the reserve. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I just had the total for amount of funds that were set aside for particular reasons.
So I don't believe that's. I don't believe that's accurate though, because it wouldn't have grown. I mean, we were just taking it from one line item to another.
Yeah, I just took it out of operating and set it aside for reserves. And then that way we would know that they still have that money when they need it for the lab.
Okay, we're gonna have to follow up, I
Yeah,
think,
there's
just to
we'll
make
need
sure.
follow up on that,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
We want to make sure we got it right. Obviously, we've got some things wrong here and we need to make it right. So we'll have some further follow-up discussions on it.
Okay, problem. Thank you.
It's going to move us right along into tab B, which is 3 items on a public hearing through the Planning and Zoning Department this morning. First, we've got Resolution 2507Z001, a conditional use permit application renewal for an impound towing and salvage yard as requested by Troy Clark with L&P Towing and Recovery in accordance with the requirements in Section 7 of the Sweetwater County 2015 zoning resolution. Joining us this morning is County Planner Cassidy Brown. And good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So the first hearing that we have for the Planning and Zoning Department here is for the applicant Troy Clark with L&P Towing and Recovering, as you'd stated. So there's 2 parcels of land. It's about 7.16 acres, and the address here is 99 Reliance Road. Current zoning is heavy industrial, and it is located within the growth management area. For infrastructure, there's Fire District Number 1, North Sweetwater Water and Sewer District, City of Rock Springs Water, Rocky Mountain Power, Dominion Energy, and then Reliance Road, County Road 42. So what we're looking to do here today is basically to renew the conditional use permit in a way that was already previously granted. So in 2023, L&P Towing and Recovery were granted a conditional use permit to operate at 99 Reliance Road, and they have been in compliance with Sweetwater County zoning resolution ever since. They've been very willing to, just follow regulations and to do anything that we've asked of them. And now they've come upon the 2-year renewal period, and they're looking just to continue operating. Here we have a zoning map, and you can see that they are surrounded by every other heavy industrial zoning. And then there is some agricultural zoning nearby and then light industrial as well. But in terms of zoning, it is a good place for this type of operation. Now, I will point out just before we get too far into the different criteria that we have, one of them is that towing salvage yards cannot be within 600 feet of residential zoning. This one, it is within 600 feet of residential zoning, as you can see down in the southwestern quarter of, this picture that's shown on the screen here. There's a small triangle of land that is residential zoning. However, that tip part there is all storage facility. So there's actually not any residences that are within that 600 feet. Here we have our site photos. So you can see that we did post public notice there. And then there's a view to the north, south, east, and west of the property. And that'll bring us to the review criteria. So it's actually about 340 feet southwest of, well, the residential zoning that I spoke of earlier is about 340 square feet, or not square feet, sorry, feet southwest of the subject property. And there's approximately 520 feet of storage for the BNR mobile home park. The residences within the BNR mobile home park are approximately 860 feet southwest of the subject parcel, so quite a fair distance away from the actual facility. And then there are no churches or schools within 600 feet either. The applicant is responsible for maintenance and proper disposal methods in conformity with DEQ regulations. And then that brings us to screening. As you could see from the pictures, we do have some screening requirements there, and they've been in compliance with that. The parcel surrounded with heavy industrial zoning, and but it does face or front along Reliance Road, which is a main road to and from Reliance. And so in 2023, staff recommended that 100% screening be required along the southwest and east boundaries of the property, which included all the gates on the property in this area as well. And the recommendation was to help create a visual break for people that were traveling on that road. And the applicant has fully complied with that condition. All right. So then we do have a regulation that no stacking of vehicles is allowed over 6 feet in height unless approved by the board. Staff recommends that stacking over 6 feet is not allowed. The applicant has also provided a copy of his license from the state of Wyoming to staff, so in compliance there. And then that brings us to the provision for the time period that I spoke of earlier. So the conditional use for an impound salvage and storage yard for vehicles is termed for 2 years, at which time a new application may be submitted, which is this one. Subsequent conditional use permits may be termed for a period established by the board. So if the board approves, staff is requesting that this conditional use permit be renewed for an indefinite period of time, as long as the applicant remains in compliance with all state and county regulations. We received 2 agency comments, first from Mark Berry from Lumen. He said that records show that they are in the area, but if construction is not required, then Lumen does not have a conflict, and no construction is being proposed at this time. And then Ryan Reed, senior mining engineer, stated that these properties have no AML concerns with regard to abandoned historic mines. And with that, staff recommends approval, well, and, sorry, at the July 9th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission, the P&Z Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval of Resolution 2507-001 for a conditional use permit for operation of a towing, salvage, and storage yard with staff conditions, which were that the conditional use permit is personal to L&P Towing and Recovery for 99 Reliance Road. The conditional use permit is approved for an indefinite period from the date of approval by the Board of County Commissioners. 3, that the conditional use permit is in effect as long as the business remains in compliance with county regulations and holds a valid Wyoming vehicle storage and disposal facility license. 4, the existing 100% permanent screening along the southeast and west boundaries of the subject property shall be maintained. And 5, vehicles shall not be stacked higher than 6 feet. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Cassidy. Appreciate the explanation there. Any questions for staff on the resolution, commissioners? Any questions for the applicant? No, we do need to open this up for a public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to this conditional use permit application, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve Resolution 25-07-ZO-01 for approval of a conditional use permit for an impound and storage yard as requested by Troy Clark, L&P Towing and Recovery.
You have a motion to approve Resolution 2507-Z001 by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I would like to add to that with approval subject to staff recommendations.
Very good. We do have a motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
Got a second by Commissioner Toman. Any further discussion?
I do have a question. What about electric vehicles? I mean, what I thought, because they're kind of hazardous. The county might consider making that one of our stipulations, that they treat them differently if you don't have something in our regulations.
Absolutely. That's something we will look into. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Not, we do have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. It's going to take us to item number 2 under tab B, which is resolution 2507Z002, a zoning map amendment in accordance with section 20 of the Sweetwater County zoning regulations. As requested by Carl Migliori for the zoning district approximately 4 acres more or less to be amended from light industrial I1 to single family residential R2. And we'll hand it back to Cassidy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I don't need to repeat the applicant and all of that part there, but the address here that we're looking at is 989 Antelope Drive in Rock Springs. And then the existing infrastructure is Fire District number 1, White Mountain Water and Sewer District, and then Antelope Drive, which is County Road 1231. So a little bit of background just on this property here and what we're looking to do today. The applicant has purchased this property and is in the process of renovating the existing residence that's on the property and does intend to reside there. Currently, with it being zoned as light industrial, having a residence on there is not an approved primary use. It, would be an approved accessory use. However, that's not the intent here with this property. The property owner is just looking to live on this property. And so a zoning map amendment will be necessary in order for the property to be used in this manner. And as we can see too, that there's a lot of residential zoning surrounding said property. So lots of R2 zoning, and then of course, other R2SF properties. The county in our 2015 Sweetwater County zoning resolution states that we're not looking to rezone any other properties or designate any other properties as R2 zoning. So that's why we went with R2SF for this. But we do think that that's R2SF would be a good fit for the proposed use here. We did post public notice on 5/29/2025, and then there's a view to the north, south, east, and west of the property here, which will bring us into the review criteria for a zone map amendment. So the first is that the amendment is consistent and compatible with the current resolution and the comprehensive plan, and staff finds that it is, encourages growth and development to continue in an orderly manner. And honestly, it does help clean up some of the zoning that is there. The light industrial zoning that's currently on the property doesn't really make sense for the character of the neighborhood and for the uses that are around it. Second, the proposed zoning is suitable for the existing topography and creates buildable lots, and staff finds that it does, as this area already has large amounts of R2 and R2SF zoning surrounding the parcel. Third, proposed zoning is compatible with existing or allowable uses of adjacent properties and neighboring zone districts. Again, this would fit right in with the neighborhood that is there and would help to eliminate the spot zoning that was established with older regulations. 4, zoning can determine adequate public facilities, including roads, drainage, potable water, sanitary sewer, police and fire protection exist. And this is the case. There's adequate adequate facilities already located on the existing property. And the 5th is that the amendment shall not adversely affect adjacent properties, communities, or the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Sweetwater County. And staff does not anticipate any adverse effects on adjacent properties. And we've also not received any negative comments regarding this proposal. And the amendment does conform with the 2015 Sweetwater County zoning resolution. Again, we received two agency comments, one from Ryan Reed, senior mining engineer, also stating that this property had no AML concerns with regard to abandoned historic mines, and Mark Berry with Lumen said that there's no conflict. So then that will bring us to the recommendation. And at the July 9th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the P&Z Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this resolution from zone map amendment, or for a zone map amendment from light industrial to R2SF, which is single family residential, as requested by the applicant. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Cassie. Appreciate that. I think you already answered it, but it seems to kind of fit with the surrounding properties as far as cleaning up some of that. I don't know how that comes about, but maybe it was just different times and different needs and, okay. Any questions on the proposed zoning map amendment, commissioners? For staff, that is, any questions for the applicant? Not, we do need to open this up for public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to this amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jones,
move to approve resolution 25-07-ZO-02 for approval of zoning map amendment from light industrial to single family residential requested by Carl Migliori with staff recommendations.
you have a motion to approve resolution 2507-ZO02 by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would second.
Got a second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Lastly, item number 3 under tab B this morning is resolution 25-07-ZO-03, a conditional use permit application for a shop in excess of 200% the gross floor area of the primary residence in accordance with requirements in sections 5 and 7 of the Sweetwater County 2015 zoning resolution. And we'll hand it back to Cassidy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So our applicants today are Michael and Connie Mitchell, and they are, the address that we're looking at here is 4 Lakeview Circle in Washam. The current zoning on the property is rural residential, and for existing infrastructure, they've got City of Manila for water, septic system, and then they're on Lakeview Circle, which is County Road 1194. Here we have a zoning and location map, and you can see that they are on most sites surrounded by other rural residential zoning districts with a property that's also zoned for R2 to the east of them. The applicants, Michael and Connie Mitchell, they're proposing to construct a shop for their personal use on said property that's in excess of 200% the gross floor area of their residence. This is a request that is allowable within the rural residential zoning district with a conditional use permit. And when we were looking through their permit and working on this with them, we did see that this request isn't very large. They're very close to not being to that 200% level. So they're just right there. So they're very close. But here is the site plan that was submitted to staff. It shows the proposed accessory building as well as the existing dwelling. And they are meeting all setback requirements and other requirements that are set forth by our zoning resolution. Public notice was posted 5/30/2025, along with pictures north, south, east, and west here for you to see of the property. And then for this conditional use permit, there are certain criteria that we'll look at. And the first is that the request is consistent with all applicable provisions of the comprehensive plan. And it is, this proposal is in alignment with the county objective, maintain county land use plans and regulations that reflect citizen preferences. People that live in the rural residential zoning districts, do so because they are looking to have some of those larger accessory structures. And so we do have that as an allowable permitted use there with the conditional use permit. Second, the request shall not adversely affect adjacent properties. Staff does not foresee the request negatively impacting adjacent properties. We also did not receive any negative comments from adjacent property owners. 3, the request is compatible with the existing or allowable uses of adjacent properties. And again, with the majority of the adjacent properties being zoned for rural residential use, this is already a request that's permissible or allowable within rural residential zoning. And then the other property that's zoned mixed residential, actually for R2 zoning, this request is also an allowable use with a conditional use permit. So it does fit those uses that would be allowed. 4, the request can demonstrate adequate public facilities, including roads, drainage, potable water, sanitary sewer, police and fire protection, and adequate facilities do exist to accommodate the request here for a larger shop. 5, the request can demonstrate adequate provisions for maintenance of the use and associate structures. Legal access to this property exists and the structure will be maintained. Adverse effects on the natural environment are not anticipated by staff, and also no additional traffic will be created as a result of this request since it is for personal use. 8, the request shall not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare, and staff also does not foresee any adverse effect here on public health, safety, or welfare as a result of fulfilling this request. And then the final criteria we look at is just that the request conforms to all applicable provisions of this resolution. And after reviewing the application, staff has concluded that all zoning resolution provisions have been met by this request. We, again, did receive 2 agency comments. Mark Berry with Lumen stated that he does not have records for this area and therefore has no conflict. And Ryan Reed, senior mining engineer, stated also that this property has no AML concerns with regards to abandoned historic mines, which will bring us to the recommendations. And at the July 9th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the P&Z Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this resolution for a conditional use permit for the construction of a shop in excess of 200% the gross floor area of the primary residence as requested by the applicant. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Cassidy. Appreciate that. Explain the 200% rule, if you could.
Sure. So from the Sweetwater County zoning resolution, we do have a requirement in there that accessory structures can't exceed certain sizes in relation to the actual size of the primary dwelling, but it does change depending on which zoning district they're in. So for rural residential zoning district, if they are above 200%, if the shop is going to be, or the accessory structure will be more than 200% the size of the home, then we do require them to get a conditional use permit.
Okay. How big of a shop are we talking here?
It is, and I can pull up their application. I don't know off the top of my head their numbers there. It's and it, you know, we might see it on their site plan.
42 by 95?
Yep.
It's every man's dream.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yep.
Additional comments, questions? Commissioner Slaughter?
Just one comment. Cassidy, I think this was brought up at the P&Z hearing, but this would still have to conform to all setback requirements and does do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for staff? Or for the applicant? If none, we do need to open this up for public hearing. So at this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to speak to this conditional use permit application, now would be the appropriate time. Quiet bunch this morning. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Tolman?
I would make the motion to approve Resolution 2507ZO-03, a conditional use permit for the shop building.
We do have a motion to approve Resolution 2507Z003 by Commissioner Tolman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, do we need that with staff recommendations?
Would you like to amend your motion to include with staff recommendations?
With staff recommendations, yes, sorry.
And is the second good with that, Commissioner Slaughter?
Yes.
We do have a restated approval for Resolution 2507 ZOO3. It's been moved by Commissioner Toman, second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thanks, Cassidy.
All right,
Appreciate
Enjoy your shop. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, no kidding. Think you need to have an open house.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck. It's going to move us right along into the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda. At this time, if there's any members of the public who wish to address the governing body on any issues, we limit it to 3 minutes at a time, and we would open up the opportunity. With our very large audience, we'll go ahead and close the county resident comments and concerns portion of the agenda. And commissioners, that's going to move us right along into tab C, which is the consent agenda. Before you this morning are 7 items. First being the approval of the June 26th, 2025 budget adoption meeting minutes. Second is the approval of the July 1st, 2025 meeting minutes. Third is the approval of the county vouchers, warrants, and the expenditure approval listing, along with the commissioner's report. Fourth is the approval of bonds. Fifth, the approval of monthly reports. Sixth, the approval of the abates and rebates. And seventh is a request to ratify the MRG grant certification statement for the HVAC library capital project. And commissioners, at this time, I would ask if there's any requests to remove any items off of the consent agenda. I'm going to request that we remove warrant number 127438 from the expenditure approval listing, which is for Vaughn's Plumbing and Heating, due to that being the company in which I'm employed. And if there are no other requests, I'd entertain a motion to approve the amended consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Would then entertain a motion to approve warrant 127438 from the expenditure approval listing to Vaughn's Plumbing and Heating.
So moved.
Sorry, I missed that. Was that Commissioner Slaughter? Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. I'm going to abstain, being that's the place in which I'm employed. Item does pass, and that's going to move us right along to the commissioner comments portion of the agenda. And Commissioner Slaughter, you're up first, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 3rd, I attended a barbecue for Star employees at the Star office. Director Pacheco grilled hamburgers, hot dogs, and fresh fish. And the employees brought potluck items for the 2nd annual event to honor Star employees. It was nice to meet with the employees and get to know them a little better. For the 4th, I enjoyed the holiday weekend with my family. On the 7th, I worked in my office for the morning on balances for the specific purpose text joint powers board. Also worked on several of the details of the congressional tour, including touching base with speakers and finalizing the invitation list and working with Sally to create the invitations. On the 9th, I attended the regular monthly meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission Board. The board welcomed new members Tiffany Cordova and Tim Sheehan. The board also thanked outgoing members Rob Gerard and Kelly Richards for their dedication and service. Mark Lyon was elected chair and Casey Doak was elected vice chair. The board held 3 public hearings and approved each of the applications that we heard earlier this morning. Afterwards, Eric Bingham provided a new member orientation outlining the bylaws and regulations that the board will be acting under. On the 11th, I worked that morning, once again, tying up details for the congressional tour, which seems to be a never-ending battle. We were able to send the invites for the widely attended event dinner, which hopefully you have received. I think that they were very well done. The dinner will be held at Buckboard Marina on the evening of August 6th. Special thanks to Sally Shoemaker for going above and beyond in the design of the invitation. I think it is exceptional. I really thought it was really neat to have an envelope that opened on my computer and pulled my little card out and let me RSVP to the event. We are beginning to receive the RSVPs. It looks like most invitees are looking forward to attending. Later that morning, I participated in the WCCA regular monthly discussion of the Central Wyoming Congressional Tour. The itinerary is coming together and each of the counties are putting finishing details on their legs of the tour. This is a great opportunity to expose senior level Washington staff members to items unique to our counties and the state of Wyoming. I think it will be an eye-opening experience to the many ways we interact with the federal government. On the 14th, I reviewed the information packet for the regular meeting of the Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powered Board meeting to be held later that afternoon. I then conducted that meeting. The board approved several requisitions, reviewed account balances for each of the entities, approved a proposal to engage McGee, Hearn and Pies for its annual audit, and discussed a notice from the Wyoming Department of Audit requesting an annual fiscal budget for the board, which was a new request that had not taken place since in my tenure as the Joint Powers Board Chair. So we are dealing with that. Sales tax collections for the month were up slightly. They were over what our projections prior to initiation of the tax were. They were $1,415,389.48, and we have collected 46.8% of the total approved. Last night, I attended the regular monthly meeting of the Star Transit Board. The board welcomed back board member Steve Shea and new member John Batolo. Director Pacheco reported that June ridership increased by 664 riders versus June of 2024. He attributed a portion of that increase to the implementation of an app that makes scheduling rides more user-friendly. The board then discussed methods to address the funding cuts that were made by the county commissioners and the FTA. It was agreed that we all need to tighten our belts under the current economic conditions we face. This afternoon, I'll meet with the opioid working group and then meet with Neil Malakote of Shishi Jam to work out the final details of the mine tour for the congressional staffers on the afternoon of August 6th. I will then contact a few more of the speakers scheduled to address the staffers during their bus tour. Wednesday evening, I will attend the regular meeting of the museum board and hope to enjoy the rest of the evening that night at the National Finals Rodeo. Thursday, I'll be meeting with the Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powers Board Admin Assistant Allison Balsick to address the budget request from the Department of Audit. So that will be interesting to do that. I do have two items, Mr. Chairman, to bring up with respect to the congressional tour. Carbon County is the host for this tour, and as such, we can submit all of the invoices for anything that we're doing specific to the tour to Carbon County. But we are going to do a light lunch the day of the 6th when the staffers leave the Farson Mercantile. We went out and solicited some ideas for lunch boxes. We got a bid from Wild Wifey's shop to do 25 sandwiches for that tour. It would be $387.50, which the tour will pay for. But I think for our purposes and for the vendor, it would be better if we could approve payment of that and then request reimbursement through Carbon County. And then also we have talked about using some of the bags which we gave last year at the Wyoming County Commissioners Association, and we'll do again this year for materials for the staffers. For 25 of those, it would be $63.75. That would be done through Halter's Clutter Hut. And if we could possibly approve those, Mr. Chairman, we will not have another meeting prior to that tour coming through on the 6th of August. So it would be, once again, $63.75 for the canvas bags and $387.50 for the lunch.
I don't see a problem with that, Commissioner, and I think we can just voucher against it and approve it through that process, which will come at our next
And we
meeting.
do
So,
vouchers here
yeah.
for that, so.
is everyone good with the approval?
Mr. Chairman, I have a recommendation. Have you checked with Travel and Tourism, see if they would help with that?
Commissioner Tolman, yes, I have. One of the things that came out in our last meeting, we were asked not to collect large amounts of paper for the staffers as they're moving through. So we had talked with Travel and Tourism about putting together a gift bag with several of those types of items. But with the experience that has been taken place from other counties in the past and what they have heard from staffers, they really would prefer not to have much of that paper. So we're going to be very selective with respect to what we use, but we will use some of the information from Travel and Tourism, and we'll insert that in these bags that we give to the staffers on the tour.
Okay, and just a note, I've already obtained the Red Desert maps that I will give them on the bus.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you. I did talk today with Craig Rude. One of the things that I thought would be beneficial would be, as we're driving the last few miles into Shishi Jam, a little bit of background on the known sodium lease area would be beneficial. So Craig is putting together a map on it, and I'm going to talk to Commissioner Richards to see if he would be willing to just have a 5 or 10 minute discussion on the way into Shishi Jam about the known sodium lease area, and there will be a map of it included also.
Very good. So I think we're looking for a motion here to approve Commissioner Slaughter to move forward with the purchase of some swag, for lack of better terms, for the congressional tour. One being in the amount of $387.50, the other $63.75, which will eventually be reimbursed through Carbon County. So I guess I would entertain a motion to.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, the $63.75 will not be reimbursed. Just the luncheon amount would be reimbursed.
So if everyone's good with that, I'd entertain a motion authorizing approval.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tolman. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would be glad to answer any questions with respect to the rest of my report.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate the report. I know preparing for this congressional tour has been, I think, a lot bigger task than certainly what I anticipated. Probably easy for me to say, but I appreciate you stepping up to do that. I think it's an important opportunity to bring some of those staffers from DC out our way, but a lot of, I mean, you've met, what, at least every couple of weeks planning this effort with the other various counties, and a lot's certainly gone into it. So I look forward to participating, and I'm sure it'll go off without a hitch. So I appreciate your efforts. I feel bad that you're not going to be here for it after all that work, but
Me too. I really would like to be here because I think it's going to be very special. So,
well, thank you anyway. I know that's been a big undertaking, and we appreciate your efforts there. Any comments or questions for Commissioner Slaughter's report? Commissioner Tolman, the floor is yours.
Okay, July 4th, I participated in the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce Liberty Parade. It was great as usual. Tons of kids. Thanks to the chamber and to Whistlers for providing the new Chevy diesel Duramax pickup for us to ride in. And special thanks to Commissioner Richards for providing candy for the kids on behalf of the commission. Early last week, I was involved with the haying on the family farm at Farson and docking lambs. In the latter part of the week, I attended the National High School Finals Rodeo Queen horse competition one night and speeches and modeling another night. 43 contestants. My niece Taylor is holding her own, doing an outstanding job. So we have to wait until next Saturday to find out who the new queen will be. So we have our fingers crossed anyway. Saturday at 5 o'clock at the exhibit hall is when coronation takes place, and then the rodeo that night. July 14th, I attended the Sweetwater Combined Communications Center monthly meeting at the Sheriff's Training Center, which is their new place for meetings. There was discussion about the budget and COLA and PTO paid out at the end of the year. The employee handbook was updated. The next meeting will be August 25th. Upcoming August meeting of CLG has been moved to September 21st, so we're skipping August. The library board meets July 21st and Golden Hour meets July 29th, and the county fair starts that week. That concludes my report. Are you happy that it's short enough?
Goodness. Well, very exciting
We've
for,
been doing physical labor instead of mental.
well, I wish we would have got a picture with Taylor when she was here at the last meeting, but we certainly We'll be pulling and rooting for her. So very exciting times for you.
Well, if she wins, we'll have her come back.
There you go. Questions or comments for Commissioner Tillman's report? If not, Commissioner Richards was next. Obviously, he is not here today. He is up attending the Wyoming Community Days at the Idaho National Laboratory up for their Nuclear Energy Forum. So we will catch him at the next meeting. And Commissioner Jones, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 3rd, I attended the enterprise meeting. A presentation was given by the Wyoming Business Council on items such as housing, changes in the number of citizens in Wyoming, workforce, number and age of individuals who actually move out of the state. So it was a pretty eye-opening report. I don't think there was anything all that new in there, but the numbers were pretty staggering. The 4th spent with family and friends, enjoying food, fun, and celebrating our great nation. The Memorial Hospital Sweetwater County monthly board meeting was moved to the 9th due to the 4th of July holiday. That meeting included swearing in board members, discussion on economic impact study done at the hospital. We will be getting a presentation on that study in the next couple of months or so. Candy Pendleton was given permission to share a mission moment. This was also on Facebook, but some of you may have heard of the situation. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, but Dave Taylor and Jenny Knezovich were on a cruise, and one stop was in Turkey. Dave got sick and went to the hospital and was advised he needed surgery and had to pay several $1,000s, and they would not release him. Jenny asked to see x-rays and test results and a few things like that, which they would not show her. So Jenny called our hospital and was put in touch with Dr. Croft and a bunch of others, and it was determined Dave did not need surgery. So it was a terrible situation they were in, but folks at our hospital stepped up and saved the day, so to speak. Hats off to the people at Memorial Hospital, Sweetwater County for caring not only for the people they treat at the facility, but also obviously taking care of people just because it's the right thing to do. Oops. Got a bunch of things jumping up here in front of me. On the 10th, I was interviewed by a University of Wyoming student on a variety of topics concerning Sweetwater County, such as the Rock Springs BLM RMP, different industries we have, the future, what's good and what's bad in Sweetwater County. So it was about an hour-long interview, pretty interesting questions. Also on the 10th, I attended the Rock Springs Chamber Luncheon, where presentations were given by the local chapter of the PEO, Memorial Hospital of Sweetwater County, and Actors Mission. On the evening of the 10th, I volunteered at the events complex, helping Park National High School Finals rodeo contestants and their families in their proper campsites. Candy has said I volunteered at all 8 National High School Finals rodeo. I'll take her word for it, but I'd have to count the t-shirts to make sure that I have them all. I've enjoyed helping out each year. The rodeo has been here. You know, the vast majority of people traveling for this event are good-hearted people who are enjoyable to be around. Some of them driving 18, 20, 24 hours, pulling big horse trailers, and they show up with a good attitude, tired, but a good attitude. So it's always good to see them. It is sad this will be the last year we'll be able to host the event, as the requirements have gotten to a point that we can't accommodate the organization anymore. On the 11th, I joined our chairman for a meeting with the Muley Fanatics Foundation regarding the Rock Springs BLM RMP. I'd like to thank Joey Fagel, Chris Steffen, and Janet Crofts for reaching out to us as they try to understand the RMP. It's difficult to understand all of the ins and outs of it, so I commend them for trying to get up to speed not only on what has taken place, but what may be coming up in the future. Also on the 11th, I attended the Joint Powers Telecom Board meeting. Normal business was conducted, however, that did include approving of their budget. The evening of the 11th, I again volunteered at the events complex and helped park contestants and their families in their proper campsites. It was a busy night. I ended up staying until about 11 o'clock instead of 10, which is when I was scheduled to leave, but it was nonstop people coming in, so I couldn't really justify leaving with all that needed to be done. I'd like to say hats off to Candy and her whole crew for doing such an incredible job with this event every year. They truly do an exceptional job. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Very good. Thanks for the report, Commissioner Jones. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Jones's report? If not, I guess it's ditto day for me. I had a meeting with the members from the Wyoming Horse Racing who will be coming before us at both of our upcoming August meetings. They're looking for approval of a new resolution that they prepared in regards to moving locations here in Green River. They're currently on Uena Drive, and they're still going to be on Uena Drive. They're just moving up a little bit to, wanting to move up, I should say, to a different, larger location. So we'll be going through that process. They'll give us kind of the background at the first meeting in August and then ask for our approval at the second meeting in August. They have to go before the Wyoming Gaming Commission, and their next meeting is in September. So they're hopeful to kind of get this aspect of it done ahead of time. I've also been in communication with Jeremiah Ryman with the WCCA. Just wanted to remind you all that he will be in town to attend our next meeting on the 5th. He plans to stick around for the 5th and the 6th, and Commissioner Slaughter has graciously included him in the congressional tour process, and particularly the dinner that's going to take place at Buckboard the evening of the 6th. So if you have anything you'd like to get together with Jeremiah on, by all means, I think it's an open invitation, but he plans to be here for our meeting. He's not going to present unless we'd like us to. He would just kind of like to touch base and show face, so to speak. As Commissioner Jones spoke to already, he and I met with members from the Muley Fanatics Foundation last Friday morning, I believe it was. Appreciate Joey Fagel, Chris Steffen, and Janet Crofts for reaching out. It was obviously relative to the RMP, but it sounds like they didn't have a whole lot of involvement with the previous, I guess, CEO kind of taking that role. And now that they've had a shift since they've had some staffing changes there, they're trying to get up to speed and build a relationship with this governing body. So honestly, it kind of felt like it was bringing them up to speed with kind of how we got to where we're at and what it looks like moving forward. Good conversations, I think genuine conversations, and wanting to continue to build a relationship, understanding that there's more to it than just one individual, I guess, need or wish, and that it takes a whole plan to develop a multi-use outcome. So we'll look forward to continued conversations with them and certainly appreciate wanting to work together moving forward. I did receive word from the governor's office that Governor Gordon will be in town on August 14th. He's got a variety of meetings planned for that day, along with a presentation at the Rock Springs Chamber Luncheon. His office has asked if we would like to meet in addition with him, if we had any main topics we'd like to discuss. Obviously, I advised that any opportunity to meet with the governor is welcomed here. And so we'd be happy to arrange for that. Obviously, I figured the RMP would be a continued topic of discussion. Wasn't sure if you all had anything additionally you'd like me to pass along so he can prep for that. I don't have any details as far as if it'll be the morning or after the luncheon just yet. They're still kind of setting their itinerary, so to speak. So if you have anything additionally, let me know. Otherwise, I would kind of plan on tentatively setting some time aside on the 14th, if you wish.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Tolman.
Yes, I think we should ask him again why the money is not being released for the Federal Natural Resource Policy account. The county has a claim in, and so does the coalition. We haven't received anything the entire last year.
We can certainly go into all of that, Commissioner. Over the weekend, I made it out to the vendor fair at the National High School Finals Rodeo. The grounds are looking nice for the big finale. Look forward to attending additional events this week as we head closer to Saturday night, which is the Celebrate 8 evening that Candy and the team have organized for past and present elected officials that have played a crucial role over the many years that the National High School Finals Rodeo has been here and grown in success. I was asked to speak that night, so if you have any good icebreakers, please let me know. This afternoon, we'll kick off our first opioid committee meeting, as Rob alluded to. Christina's invited Corona Insights to be in attendance as well, so we'll officially get things kicked off there. Next week, I'll have Young at Heart and the Events Complex monthly board meetings. Following week will be the Water Users Coalition meeting. And with 3 weeks between today's meeting and our first August meeting, we're slowly rounding the corner on summer. We've got fair hitting us the end of the week, or excuse me, the end of the month, followed by Rob's congressional tour. So it seems hard to believe that we're halfway through July. It's been a busy but short summer, it feels like. So with that, I look forward to those events and I'd stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a question, but the Colorado River Water Steering Committee is meeting at the college here, I believe, on July 25th, 10 to 4.
It is, I believe, the 21st.
Yeah, it might be. I'm not sure. They're having a variety of meetings in Lyman, Pinedale. I'm not sure where else.
Yeah, it's on 21st because that was our
Okay.
originally scheduled. That's when we were supposed to meet for the Sweetwater County Water Users Coalition, but we bumped that back a week because we had members on there that wanted to attend that. So, yeah.
And it's available remotely also, so I will try to at least listen in also on that one.
Yeah, July 21st from 8:30 to 4 in the John Wesley Powell Room of the Green River Western Wyoming Community College Center. And I do have the link I can share with you as well, Commissioner.
I do have the links. Thank you. I
Okay.
don't know if the others do.
Any
Thank
other
you.
comments, questions? If not, that concludes the commissioner comments portion of the agenda. That will move us into tab D, the action and presentation items. We're 20 minutes ahead of schedule. Let's take about a 10-minute break. We'll resume back here at 10:10 with item number 2. All right, we will call this meeting back to order. We left off at item number 2 under tab D. We've got the approval of the grant agreement from the Sweetwater County Joint Travel and Tourism Board. Joining us this morning is Grants Manager Christina Marshall, as well as Clerk Cindy Lane. And good morning to you both.
Oh my God. Okay, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Sweetwater County was awarded $8,000 from the Sweetwater County Joint Travel and Tourism Board. The grant requires no cash match and must be expended by September 25th of this year. So the purpose of travel and tourism grants is to support projects that meet its mission to enhance the economy of Sweetwater County and its municipalities by encouraging the promotion of activities and other recreational opportunities, which will attract and retain visitors in Sweetwater County and its municipalities. So the Sweetwater County Clerk's Office will use the funding to support the 2025 Wyoming Association of County Officers, or WACO, conference in September. Last year, the county received the same grant funding for the 2024 WACO conference. The conference is the association's main event and brings together all the state's county officials, their respective associations, and statewide elected officials. Last year, 254 out-of-county participants came to Sweetwater County for the event, especially the disco dance, bingo, I guess. It is estimated that 1,050 quote unquote room nights will be generated locally from this event this year. So while the WACO board will oversee the event, Sweetwater County is responsible for assisting the multiple activities and will utilize the grant award for the registration table and welcome reception. So a couple of notes, a budget amendment is not required because this project was included in the county's fiscal year 2026 grant projects budget. The agreement required the county clerk to sign. There is no documentation for the county commission to sign. And the person overseeing the project is our county clerk, Cindy Lane, with assistance from Sally Shoemaker. So did you want to say anything about the project or do you have any questions?
Questions, commissioners? No, once again, thanks for putting it together like you did last year, and lots of things going on here in Sweetwater County, so we appreciate you organizing that, and we'll happily move this along. So with that, I entertain a motion to accept and approve the grant agreement from the Sweetwater County Joint Travel and Tourism Board for the 2025 WACO conference as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make that motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is the approval of the fiscal year 2026 Services to Victims of Crime Grant Contract. And with us again is Grants Manager Marshall.
So this item, Commissioners, Sweetwater County was awarded $99,033 in federal and state funding from the Wyoming Division of Victim Services under the Office of the Attorney General. The purpose of this funding is to provide services to victims of crime in the community. So those services include provide support and community referrals, assist victims with filing for compensation, provide information about cases and court procedures, accompany witnesses and victims to court, act as a liaison with the criminal justice system. The grant will be used to pay for 2 part-time victim witness coordinators who will work with one other victim witness coordinator in the county attorney's office. Together, these employees enforce the Wyoming's Bill of Rights in Sweetwater County. To give you some perspective, back in fiscal year 24, they served 788 unduplicated victims, and they provided 5,127 documented services. Lot going on. So, and I have noted in your packet, so The grant funding is for $99,093. However, the county will be responsible for overage costs, including basically insurance, overtime, and then some software for tracking. And so the total project budget is $132,400. So the county's overage amount was included in the fiscal year 2026 grant projects budget, which included a 3% COLA and 5% increase to health insurance. This payroll information was provided by Human Resources. Any cost savings will go back to the county. Operational costs are included in the county attorney's budget. So there are 4 documents, and I will note that the contract itself was already signed by our county attorney, Aaron Mosby. Attachment A, which deals with our audit requirements, was also signed by him. You get to sign, if approved, attachment B, which is the certified assurances and special conditions, and also the disclosure of lobbying activities. So with that, I'm available for any questions, or our Chief Deputy De Leon is here too.
Very good. Thanks, Christina. Any questions on the Services to Victims of Crime Grant Contract, Commissioners? Not, I'd entertain a motion to accept and approve the fiscal year 2026 Services to Victims of Crime Grant Contract and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents.
Mr. Chairman, I would be happy to make the motion.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Tolman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up under tab D is item number 4. We've got a 3-year Brightly software renewal. Joining us this morning is Public Works Director Gene Legursky. Good morning, Gene.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners. What you have before you is a kind of an unusual contract that we have with Brightly. This is actually, Brightly bought out Dude Solutions. Dude Solutions is this thing that we do all of our project costing, project management, PM management for all of our vertical assets. And we're typically on a 3-year contract with them that has a typical escalation in it. There has been an increase of competition in the space, I guess is the best way to put it. And so what they want to do is lock us in for 3 years, but they're giving us an original rate from back in like 2021, 2022. I can't remember. 2022 for the next 3 years. It'll allow us to save $3,400 this year. And then as it escalates, if they chose to put the 3%, it saves us a little bit more every year. So I think it's a really good deal. One thing that I want to point out, and I want to thank Marty Dernovich with, collaboration between departments is awesome. In this, if you look, there's a state and local government higher education addendum. Why that is so important is if you look at under 1.5 termination for non-appropriation, if you guys decide not to appropriate money to renew this in the next couple of years, we can actually get out of the contract. So it gives us an out. It doesn't lock us in for 3 years. It locks us in for that rate for 3 years. But if you guys choose not to fund it for whatever reason, it does give us an out, which is a really good thing in this contract. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thanks, Gene. Any questions on the contract renewal, Commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolman.
Who will work with this software?
I do, and all the facility maintenance folks and custodial. So it's where we track our work orders, where we track our preventative maintenance on all of our assets and everything like that.
Thank you.
We've been using it since about 2021.
Additional comments, questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the 3-year contract renewal with Brightly Software in the amount of $16,809.89 per year and authorize the chairman to sign.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gene. Last item to come before you this morning, Commissioners, is item number 5 under tab D. It's a request for approval of a contract renewal with the State of Wyoming Military Department. And joining us this morning is Human Resource Director Gary McLean. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners. Last but best. So very exciting discussion item for today. As you know, since about 2012, we have delivered veteran services in the Tri-County area, Sublette County, Lincoln County, and Sweetwater County, pursuant to a mutual agreement. In about 2019, the state approached us about providing services in Uintah County. They had previously provided them there and asked us if we would be willing to do that. We had capacity in Lincoln County. So once a week on Wednesdays, Nancy Stafford from Lincoln County goes to Uintah County and provides services over there. They pay us, meaning the state pays dollar for dollar for the mileage, as well as the hourly rate, loaded hourly rate for her to provide services in Uintah County. This agreement extends that arrangement with the military department through 2028 and to cover those expenses. Essentially what we do is we have a project set up. She records her time when she's in Uintah County each month or a quarter, sometimes in the quarter. We bill the military department, they fund that. That reduces our total cost of delivering those services. If she makes every Wednesday, that amounts to about $24,071 a year, hence the $75,000 contract that we have from them. And so with that said, I would be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I would recommend the board consider approving this agreement.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate the background. You had a note in there that I thought made good sense. Where was that? In your memo, in regards to, they're helping cover Uintah County services, but
Yeah.
obviously, we're taking on Sweetwater and Lincoln and
Right.
Sublette. How come we haven't had those conversations? I guess we should have those conversations with the state in regards to, how does that work through the different counties throughout the
Yeah.
state, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, all the other counties of the state are covered by what I call the state's traveling roadshow program. So they send people from Riverton up to Jackson one day, then they send them over to somewhere else to Worland one day. Never been effective, which is why there were problems here, and we've never done that. We try to have boots on the ground in those major areas to provide services. So the question is, why wouldn't they contribute in some of those other areas? I think that's a fair question. Senator Kolb, when he was a commissioner, addressed this both as a commissioner and later as a senator. I've discussed this with Commissioner with Island also about the state's arrangement with that. We work closely with them. Every September, we send our staff down to do training with state staff. We send them monthly reports. So the data that's reported to the legislature for veterans statewide includes our data as part of that. Interesting, we adopted a case management system called VetraSpec about 5 years before the state of Wyoming finally adopted it. So yeah, that's something that I think, it's something that has to really be at the legislative level. Their appropriation for the military department is a legislative appropriation. So, it requires some communication in that regard. What I've really requested them to do is I think it's important for the communities to have some skin in the game, but I think it's important for the state also. And I think if we were to split those costs, it would be a very reasonable thing. So I don't think it's necessary for them to fund the whole thing, but I think It's important. And the point that I've been, I think, particularly proud about this program and why we didn't follow the state is this program has almost no overhead. We're in existing offices. We use existing places like the senior center and in Big Piney, in offices and things that we already have. So there's very little overhead with the program. All the money in this program goes to salaries and to training. And so we do a lot more training than the counterparts with the state of Wyoming in that regard. And I think that's how these programs are supposed to work, not be really heavy bureaucratic programs or heavy overhead programs. But when the state goes in those areas, you got to have an office, then you got to set it up again, and they end up having as much overhead as they have in time. And so, yeah, I mean, when we originally did this, the hope was that there was a model here where other services could be delivered this way in a cost-effective, where we could simply share in the costs through this agreement. I will tell you, I have regular talks with Tim Shepard, who's the State Veteran Services Director. I've asked him regularly, hey, if there's any problems, we can take criticism, if there's things that we need to do better. And he said, you know, I wish I had other areas of the state that worked as well. I think this has been, I still believe strongly it's the most effective way to deliver the services. There are some things that we can't do that the state can do, like working directly with the VA. We don't have a seat at that table, they do. So I think it would be a good partnership, but there just has to be some broader support. And I think the challenge has been that the other parts of the state are having this traveling roadshow. I guess maybe it's meeting their needs. I don't know. It didn't meet them here, I can tell you that. There isn't, you know, we're the only ones at the table, but if you have any communication, want to push this issue, I think it certainly makes sense. I would argue just for cost sharing, meaning that we all pitch in and be part of the solution. Because I think there's things that we bring to the table. The counties are providing space and offices and other things that aren't captured in the budget, that are part of that overhead. In addition to the, 379,000 total that we fund. But keep in mind, we're providing veteran services from Jackson to Evanston to Wamsutter. I mean, it's the whole western third of Wyoming. And so I think it's a very good service model. We have people that are there. They're there reliably because they still travel, do some outreach, like from Pinedale to Marbleton or from Kemmer to Alpine, but they're not going from Riverton to Jackson, or they're not going from Riverton or Rollins to Evanston, where you only show up a couple times. So I think it's been pretty successful. I've talked with the folks in Uintah County. They've been happy. But that's because I'm sending somebody there who's trained, who's certified with the DAV, VFW, American Legion, and NAVSCO, National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, and who works with all the service providers. And that's what it takes. You have to have that network in order to make these things function. It's very difficult to hire somebody and bring them in who doesn't know who the mental health providers are, doesn't know the local prosecutors, law enforcement, state hospital people, so on and so forth, hospital personnel. So yeah, I mean, if there's anything I can do to help that along, I know the topic's been broached and has been brought up at the legislative level. I don't know to what extent, but I do know the topic's been broached. I've had a little feedback from the state, so I know that that's happened, but legislative, there's been no appropriation. I think the other problem is they're on biennium budgets, and so you miss those windows and it's 2 years, and then kind of the energy's lost. But if you have any thoughts on how to be more effective, I'd be happy to address that or provide information in that regard.
Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments, commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolman.
At the American Legion State Convention, Sandy from the state was given an update on all the veteran services, all the things they're doing, but somebody asked her if the state paid for mileage for the veterans. Do we do that through this program? Do we actually pay for a veteran to go to the hospital or something?
Yeah, so I actually was responsible for getting that grant. So it's a transportation grant. It's about $50,000. obviously we weren't going to use that amount. So that's administered by the state now. So if you wanted to help a veteran get to a medical appointment in Salt Lake or somewhere else, I could reimburse you for those expenses.
Because they were pretty vague about who was doing what, and they said Sublette County wasn't included in our agreement.
Yeah.
So,
So right now we have a vacancy in Sublette County. So
Right.
they are included in the agreement and they can get there, but we don't have a person right now. I have about 30 applications for that job. So, but they are included in the agreement. And the reason the state has they actually have a person assigned who coordinates reimbursing and arranging transportation. So that could be through, like, we have some providers up in around Jackson, Star Valley that have commercial transportation companies. They've agreed to accept that mileage rate if we need to transport them. We've had a couple really challenging situations, as you might imagine, trying to get from, like, say, Star Valley to Sheridan, where, you know, to receive mental health treatment or to get to Buffalo in the winter. That's not a small feat, especially if you don't have family or other things. Local transportation companies like Star have been resistant to do that because their service areas within the county. So they've been resistant to go outside. But the transportation grant that you're referring to, I'm glad you brought it up, Commissioner Tolman, is pretty open-ended. And so that could be, we've had some law enforcement officers who've agreed to transport individuals to help them get to where they need to go. And we can reimburse their travel expenses out of that. It's pretty straightforward process. Just submit the request and they review it for accuracy and then cut the check for that. So it's a pretty straightforward process. Medical transportation is still difficult because obviously we might all be well intended, but you don't want to transport somebody that might have a heart attack or needs medical attention. And that gets to be a bigger problem trying to find medical transportation. But there's been a couple places, a place in Idaho that's been willing to do that, and some other places that have been willing to do it. So yeah, that grant's a kind of an important issue in a rural state because the number one problem is getting in order to receive your benefits, you have to have regular examinations by qualified healthcare providers, which sometimes means going to Salt Lake or Cheyenne, or if you're in those areas, coming to Rock Springs. We do have a veteran clinic here, but you got to be able to get there. And some folks aren't able to do that. So that's the purpose of that grant, is to make sure that folks can get their benefits by being able to get to the appropriate medical examinations for that purpose. So,
thank you.
thanks for bringing that up.
Any questions or comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve contract number 250000162001 between the Wyoming Military Department and Sweetwater County, and authorize the chairman to sign.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Tillman.
I would make that motion.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Tillman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Gary. Appreciate it. And commissioners, that's going to wrap up all the business to come before us this morning. Short meeting for once, which is always welcomed. And we'll see you back here in 3 weeks. And with no further business, this meeting stands adjourned.